Hey guys, we are back for Lovecraft Country season 1 episode 8. Sorry, it's a little bit late, y'all, but as I said in my power review, if you didn't watch that, watch that. If you watch that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. It's my birthday weekend, so I'm just a little bit behind on recording. But anyway, let's get right into it. So this one is called, the episode's called I Am. Okay, so this was just pretty much straight up Hippolyta auntie episode, and it starts off with her. And remember, last episode she was going out to Artem, and I thought that she was gonna get in trouble going to Artem with them vampire looking things with the multiple eyeballs, but that didn't even happen because her and little cousin D ended up getting there just during the daytime, and they saw that the whole lodge and everything was just imploded upon itself. As she's walking through the rubble, we see her walking through the rubble. It was jumping between her and the bed, or her trying to get Hiram's little solar system thing, time travel thing to work, and her and Artem with little cousin baby D. And so she was looking, and then little cousin baby D was like, Mama, we ain't supposed to be here because what does it have to do with Daddy's death and everything? But she wasn't listening to her. She's like, girl, I told you to stay in the car. And then she goes and she sees one of the little drawings that her daughter, she always drawing them little characters and them in outer space and all that stuff. So she saw one of those, so she know George had to have been there. Hold on, y'all. Get my tea. So that was another clue for her. So she knows. I mean, I don't know what she really found from that because she's going through the rubble, and I guess, I don't know, she just knows that her husband died there, opposed to where they said that the sheriff shot him. I don't know where they said the sheriff shot him, but whatever. So she sees that. And as she was laying in the bed looking at Hiram's, I forgot what the name of that thing is, the little solar system golden thing. She was looking at it from the side, and then she was thinking about, the tilted axes, whatever. So she started clicking and things. Hippolyta, her and Uncle George are really smart, okay? And, I needed some backstory on how educated they are and how, I know they read and stuff, but the stuff that Uncle George was doing before he died and everything, and how they be doing all these calculations, because I never read the books. And if somebody's coming off of never reading the books, and all of a sudden they're like, okay, so how they know all this stuff? Because just the average person, even a smart person, ain't gonna know all these things. But I know that Hippolyta was all about her constellations and stuff, so that requires a lot of calculation. But Uncle George and her, that was just the little snippets that we saw in the beginning episodes that they really are into that. And we know that Hippolyta, she named a comet and all this other stuff, so she good with the calculations. So I guess that's a little bit, but I just need a little bit more info. But anyway, from there, it jumps to Ruby and Christina / William. Okay, so it turns out William actually was a person. And we see that Ruby is down in the basement finally, where William is being kept because he did. And he was Christina's Braithwife's lover or whatnot. And she told Ruby the whole story behind it, because Ruby was like, how you gonna do me like this? So everything that happened between me and William, it was a lie, or it was you. And then she was like, girl, everything that happened, it may have been with William or whatever, but those were my words, and that's really how I felt. So I was like, oh, so you really digging Ruby? Like, I mean, you just stepped to her as a dude. But I guess she was like, so you fucked me as a man and everything. So, Ruby had a little, messed up. I'm like, girl, she said she really liked you. And she said, I never lied to you. And then she was like, I'm tired of these half truths. Just tell me everything. So she told her the whole story behind William and how they were together. Or she actually sought out William because her father never taught her any magic or anything, and she kept wanting to prove herself to her dad, Christina, Braithwaite, to her father, because he was the sons of Adam and all that stuff, or the order of the ancient Don or whatever, and she always wanted to be in, but he would never let her. So she actually originally sought out William to seduce him and get him to teach her all this stuff. And then all that whole story that Christina told Ruby before about how that police chief or whatever took over the lodge and everything and killed William, that shit was all true, but you know, he actually succeeded in killing him. So now she's just keeping him on a life support or whatnot. And then the other, because I thought that she was casting spells where she could just look like anybody. But no, you actually have to use somebody's blood magic or whatnot, and then make yourself to look like that person. And that's William's spell that she was using. And they still didn't explain who the white lady was, or did they explain who that white lady was that Ruby be turning into, because I didn't catch that. I just heard them talking about William, because I'm like, okay, well then who's that bitch? That's what I would have said if I was down there. Not bitch, but you know what I'm saying, y'all. But yeah, so she told her all that, and then she was just like, well, no more secrets from here on out and all that stuff. So I mean, y'all gonna be together or not? What's going on? But then she was telling her that about the book of names and how it has to do with her family. And Ruby like, my family? What you talking about? So I guess she told her the whole thing when it comes to Letty and all that, and probably about the money and all that stuff when it came to the house. So she know everything now when it comes to that. I was like, okay, see, she told you, so don't be too mad. I mean, she was a little deceived, but I mean, at least she didn't murder you. But anyway, what else happens after that? We see Letty, and she is having the same dream that Atticus always have about his ancestor Hannah running through the lodge while it's on fire, and then she always stop at the door like she want to say something, but she don't though. And then she did the same thing with Letty, but then Letty, she's running, and all of a sudden we see that she got a little bun in her oven. And I was like, oh girl, did y'all having fucking all over your house and stuff, girl. So, and everybody's raw dogging back then. So, did they have condoms in the 50s? I have no idea. Probably, but probably nobody used them because they had like extreme diseases. Nobody cared. So yeah, pretty much she was touching her belly, and then all of a sudden she went on fire too. So I was like, oh girl, you done got pregnant by this fool. I know it was cute and all, but like, you don't lose your virginity to the first person you have sex with. I mean, you don't have a baby by the first person you have sex with. You need to live your life, girl. He ain't even put a ring on it. No, I'm just playing. But anyway, so she wake up out of her dream or whatnot because she's just all disheveled. And she goes on the other side of the bed to look for Tick, and he's not there because where's Tick at? He's still trying to decipher all these pages. Excuse me, y'all. And she goes and she tells him about her dream, omitting the part that she was pregnant in the dream, and then she was feeling weird because, don't no dude want to hear that, and he's stressed out enough. He don't need to hear that he got a baby on the way. So he told her about, she's like, how is it that we're having the same dream or whatnot? He was like, I don't know, and everything. And then she was like, yeah, she's holding a book or whatnot. And then they were trying to think like, what if you pregnant trying to run out of a place, or your slave owner's place? Why of all things you running out with is a book? And it was like, that has to be the book of names. So he thinking like, well, the whole time the book of names has been in the family. This has to have been with her and passed down this whole time. And Tick was like, well, fuck finding these couple pages. We can get the whole motherfucking book. So from there, he was talking about, well, his mama, he don't know much about his mama's side of the family. He was like, during the Tulsa riots, she was the last pretty much living survivor, and she never said nothing about her past and life and lineage and all that stuff. So he don't know how to find that out, except for probably asking his father. And then it jumps to his father / Omar. He's really getting his Omar on from the White. No, it's like Montrose is his character on here. And, he had his little coming out party. I mean, no. It's the next day, I guess, after he had that little date with his Sam, the bartender owner or whatever, or bar owner. And he getting up in the morning, show him getting up or whatnot. And Sam is up in there cooking his man some breakfast and stuff. And Montrose got a whole full attitude, looking like, I knew I let you come spend the night for the first time. You was gonna come over here and make it a whole big production. He was like, what? I just figured, since I spent the night and whatnot, I would make some breakfast. And then he was like, turn on a record or something so we could listen to some music. And he was just trying to set the mood and be nice and stuff because, they finally kissed it in for the first time. And that when he did his drag show and everything, that was cute because I'm like, y'all probably been fucking for a while, like dating a man never kissed you and now you spending the night. I'm sorry, but I know it's different times, but Zach, he is really making him work for stuff. I'm like, you his gay, so just go on with it. But y'all gotta be careful because it's the 50s, but you ain't gotta treat that man like that behind closed doors. That's messed up, okay? So they sit down to eat breakfast or whatnot, and then he was like, this is bacon. They ain't had no beef sausage down his way. And he was like, no. And then he's like, these grits too runny. I like my grits thick and blah, blah, blah. He was like, what's next? The coffee too wet and whatnot. And then he also mentioned, and he was, before that, he mentioned how he saw one of his neighbors, Montrose's neighbors or whatnot, by the bus stop or something, and they had exchanged of words, and he was like, oh, that's so-and-so, so-and-so, and he was like, don't worry, she did not see me coming in or out or whatnot, because, Sam is known, around as being, homosexual and all that, but Montrose, it's on the low, but it ain't known, okay? He like down low still, but yeah, and when he was making all these damn complaints about breakfast, for one, I would have threw the high grits at him, like, well, make your own damn breakfast then. If you don't like what I just made for you, if you're stinking ass, then we didn't have sex and did whatever all night, and I got up and made your dirty self some breakfast, and you coming in here talking crazy to me, he would have got high grits thrown on him. I'm just saying. But anyway, so yeah, he was like, you know what, I ain't got to deal with this. So he get up and he about to leave Sam. And then Montrose was like, no, wait. And then Sam had got out the door, and he was like, no, wait, I'm sorry. And I'm like, so you should have said sorry inside of the house, because then it looked like a lover's quarrel. And I'm like, oh, shit, who sees them? And I thought it was going to be some neighbors, and who just standing there, who always coming over and coming in at the wrong part of conversations and seeing shit they ain't supposed to be seeing. It's Letty and Tick. And then Letty like, ooh, 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 ooh. And I would have said the same. I would have been like, oh. I just should have held my head down and just minded my business, because it ain't my business what's going on with them. But Tick has a whole fit. He's super upset. He was like, so it's true, huh? And he about to cry and shit. And he was like, did mama know? And then Montrose was like, well, shit, fuck it now. Yeah, mama knew. Your mama knew and whatnot. And he was like, so you a faggot. And I'm like, hold on now, you being disrespectful. Montrose stopped that ass too. He took off his shirt to try to show that he was still a man. Like, he didn't say I may be gay, but he said something. He was like, I'm still your father. You gonna respect me. Put some respect on my name. I will whoop your ass or whatnot. And then Tick just left and stuff. Well, he just went downstairs, down the through the back of the house or whatnot, and he was all huffing and puffing and mad and pacing in the back of the alley. And Letty went down there, and she just didn't even want to say nothing about it. She just kind of grazed over it, and she was just like, "Well, I had asked him about your the mamas, because Montrose had asked him like, what the hell are y'all doing here? Because it's like early in the morning." He's like, what the hell are y'all doing here anyway? So I guess Letty was like, fuck that, we still trying to figure out information. Tick, you can go on your little hissy fit or whatnot, but I'm gonna ask for what we came for. And then she ended up asking him about, we don't see this part, but when she tells it to Atticus, that she asked him about the mama in the book and all that, and Montrose told her that he actually does have some more kinfolk. It wasn't just his mama that survived the Tulsa riots. She had a cousin as well who down in St. Louis, who there was like, we can get down there in a few hours, because Chicago, it's about, they said 3 hours. Well, I guess because they already on the south side, because I'm like, I know I used to go to SIU Carbondale, and it used to take about 4 hours to get there. And then probably about 5 hours to get to St. Louis, because it was real close. But they said it was 3 hours. But I guess if you start on the south side and you drive fast, I don't know. it ain't that important to be accurate right there. So that's like, we can get down there today and go ask your cousin about this stuff. And then, you know, Tick is just kind of so upset, and he's just like huffing and puffing. He was like, this whole time he used to beat my ass and try to say he was toughening me up, and this whole time he was a faggot, and he's sitting there beating on me and making me think something wrong with me. And I'm like, but you weren't even gay. I mean, maybe if he was pretty much hurt people. And now he understands why his plus Montrose already said that his father used to beat down on him, so it's passing on these generational curses, which is fucked up. But well, my dad used to beat the shit out of me, so I'm gonna beat the shit out of my kids. That's not how it goes. Yeah, so, and then, like, I don't like that, especially in minority households, because I ain't gonna just say black, where they just taught that you just beat the living breaks off of your children. It's horrible. And what's the name? And he was just really upset because he's like, this whole time it's pretty much Montrose was reflecting his own self-hate on him, and that's why he was beating the shit out of him or whatnot. Plus, just because his daddy beat him too, so it's probably a mixture of both things. I don't think it was just one thing. And then he was like, my mama knew and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure your mama knew because she was fucking your uncle and everything. So, I mean, you know, your uncle daddy or whatever. And, so they decide that they gonna go and ask Auntie Hippolyta for the car. So from there we see and shoot, Atticus and them, that's the whole thing. You don't be coming to people's house. They got telephones. You don't be coming to people's house unannounced because you don't know what you're gonna see. You need to mind your business. Don't be popping up. You call first. But anyway, then it jumps to Hippolyta, and you can see that she about to get on the road with Woody herself, and she, you know, asking Ruby, asking little cousin Diane, or well, her daughter, oh, let's do the checklist. You know how she used to do with her dad, the whole little checklist, and then she was like, why? It's just stupid. Anyway, I'm like, girl, don't be talking back to your mama because you mad your daddy dead. I mean, I understand, but she was trying to do it because of your daddy, because y'all always did the little checklist. And then Ruby is going to be babysitting her while Hippolyta is gone on her own little adventure. And then Letty and Tick roll up on her, and Tick is like, oh, Hippolyta, auntie, is it okay we can use the car? And then she's like, well, I'm out on my way about to do another book. You know, they do the little green book thing for the safe travels for Negroes. And then he was like, didn't we just publish? He's like, well, never, Uncle George never published another one that fast. She was like, look, I said I got stuff to do, and I'm going to, I'm like, yeah, how you going to interrogate her about her car? And then she was like, the last time I checked, when you said that your Uncle George got shot by that sheriff, did he say anything about you getting Woody or whatever? So you need to bag back. Get the hell out of my way so I could go. And then she skirt and swerved off. And then after that, Letty and Ruby had some awkward pause and looking at each other, because Ruby, you know, they had that argument about with the mama's money and that house and everything from that one episode, and they ain't talked since. And then Ruby moved the fuck out too, and they ain't spoke since that whole time. And Ruby looking at her, and then Letty sitting there like, So Tick was like, well, I mean, do you want to go back to the house and pack, and we could take the bus down to St. Louis or whatnot and still get down there, because it ain't gonna take that long. And then he was like, but he saw the little discrepancies between Ruby and Letty. He was like, well, I could just go by myself if you want to stay here and handle that. And then that's what she does. So from there we see Tick is in St. He gets to St. Louis. It jumps. We don't see him traveling there. And he's talking to I think it was his cousin's friend, and I guess they were both widows or whatnot, and after, I guess they were both widows, they ended up living together, and, you know, being just good friends and being companions, not like in a sexual way, but, you know, when you old and stuff, you just need somebody to look out for each other or whatnot. And I guess his cousin has passed away or something, because but the lady, she still, you know, they met in a church group or whatever, and she still has like some photos and or whatever of the cousin and everything. And he went on to ask her about, you know, the book. He's like, you ever hear about a book of names and this and this? She's like, I'm sorry, baby, but them white folks burned everything up in Tulsa, and that just made me mad, because a lot of folks lost their kin folks and lost people lost their lives and they lost stuff, connections to their family and where they came from because of these riots, and white people just sitting there burning every damn thing to the ground. So we don't know where we come from, and that's just really unfortunate. But anyway, I ain't gonna get too deep in that. So from there, he like, damn. But as he's looking at pictures, he sees, because she has a picture book of his cousin and whatnot. As he's looking at a picture of her, he goes and he sees that she has a similar like birthmark on, he recognizes the birthmark that she has, and he hops up real quick and he looks at his shoulder or whatnot on his back, and he has the same exact mark that she has. So I guess that's something that's passed down or something, I don't know, or it means something that everybody in that family got that type of mark. And then in another scene, it jumps during happening in the same time, we see in Hippolyta, you know, she done went on a little adventure. She driving down to, I think it's called Mayfield or something, and she trying to investigate, because when she tried to open Hiram's little solar system thing, it had a key in it and it had some coordinates, and she's driving to those coordinates, and I guess that's in Mayfield and whatnot. So, and then we just see her arriving there, and it's like some big dome. It looks like a not a lighthouse, but some big place, abandoned place or whatever. And she goes and she about to investigate there. So at the same time, Ruby and Letty are talking, and Ruby is making dinner and whatnot. And then she asks Letty, like, oh, can you taste this sauce or what? I guess she makes spaghetti or something. And Letty like, oh, what's that in there? Garlic? And she was like, girl, what's wrong with you? You love garlic. And she was like, she's like, I don't know, my stomach just been off of some a little bit. She's like, that, are you pregnant? And before that, when they actually reconciled earlier that day, let me talk about that first. And then she's asking her, like, where you been staying at since you left the house or whatnot. She was like, I'm still on the north side. She's like, oh, what, with a white man or whatnot? And then she just really didn't, Ruby really didn't elaborate on where she been at. And then she was like, Letty just went on ahead and said, like, you know, we had one of the biggest fights we ever had, and I apologize. And then she always was saying how she's like her mama, but I guess Ruby's way of accepting her apology is saying, like, well, in all the years I know mama, she never apologized, so I guess we aren't so much like our parents or whatever like we think. So that was just their way of mending stuff. And then later, Ruby making dinner because, you know, they watching Hippolyta daughter Diane or whatnot, and that's when Letty think the garlic stank, and Ruby like, girl, is you pregnant or something? But it was like in passing, like she didn't even really like investigate into it. And Letty asked her again, she was like, you still never told me who you were staying with. And like Ruby really didn't give much information on that either, because now Ruby know everything that's going on and what Tick and them been up to. So from there, Letty, when she was getting sick, she went to go I don't know, wash her face off or whatnot. She went to Auntie Hippolyta's room, and that's where she see Hiram's solar system thing, and she immediately calls Tick. And as she's calling Tick, that's when Tick was looking at the birthmark on himself in St. Louis. And then the older lady, she was like, sweetheart, you got phone calls for you. And then she talks to Tick, and she tells Tick, like, Auntie Hippolyta had this Hiram's thing this whole time, and it's lit up and it's working, and I don't know, I just think it's some danger or whatever. And I think she told Tick what the Hiram's thing says and the coordinates or whatnot. Well, she had to have told him that, because she was like, I think Auntie Hippolyta got to be in danger. So from there, what does it jump to? Then it jumps to Hippolyta at the it's like a planetarium looking thing or something like that. and then that's where this whole big machine, I guess Hiram has a big actual life-size machine where you can do coordinates and all that, and that's where the key fits into that he has, and that's what all these lodge members been looking for this whole time. And she put the key in, and all of a sudden all these stuff start beeping and loud. I'm like, girl, you gonna get caught. I mean, it looked abandoned up in there, but you don't know who could be going around there. And you some black lady in the middle of the night up in here. But first she's looking at it, and she just started getting her calculations on and all that stuff. And she's seeing putting everything together and using all these calculations. It gets explained later, and I still didn't understand the shit. But I'm like, okay, girl, get your calculations on. And from there, all of a sudden, the machine just started making all these noises, and the police come, and she tried to hide or whatnot. But girl, you done turned the machine on, it's loud as fuck, and they gonna know somebody in there, and they ain't gonna leave till they see who the fuck it is. And they find her, and they choke her up like, who are you? How did you get this thing to work? And she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm lost. He's like, you a motherfucking lie. Who are you, and how did you get this thing to work? And I'm like, girl, they gonna kill you or they gonna kidnap you. You better quit playing. Then all of a sudden they hear something, and I'm like, who the fuck is that? And then they thought it was somebody or whatnot, and it turns out it was Tick. So I'm guessing that Tick and where Auntie Hippolyta was not too far from each other, because I'm like, how the fuck he get there that fast? And then he come in out of nowhere, whop whop, beating up the cops and shit. And then Hippolyta takes one of their guns. And as this is happening, on the wall of the planetarium or whatever place, all of a sudden you're seeing like a portal starts to open, and it starts showing like different worlds or different sceneries or something. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And as that's happening, Tick is fighting with the one of the cops, and one of the cops ends up getting sucked into the portal. And I'm like, oh shit, where'd he go? And then the other cop was coming at them, and Hippolyta shoots him and kills him, I guess, because he just fell down and he can get the fuck back up. And and then she gives the gun to Tick, and her back is turned to that portal thing, and she gets sucked into the portal. And then Tick is like, oh no, Hippolyta, and then he gets sucked into the portal. Then it all goes like, looks like molecules and all this stuff, you know, like when you get sucked into portals, like how be looking, I don't know. And it was all colorful shit. And then like she ends up on some type of different like planet or something, and it's got like a big ass it's hard to explain, y'all. It's like some sci-fi looking shit. And then these two big aliens, but they just look like they had human form, but they was just really fucking tall, like giant people. And then all of a sudden it just went white and black, and it just phased out. And I'm like, what the hell? And from there, she wakes up naked, just like you have always see in a movie when you with some aliens. She naked on the table in a whole completely white room. She naked on the table, and there's some clothes next to her, and she puts them clothes on or whatnot. And all of a sudden one of them big alien things, and it was like a black woman, but she was just a big Amazon, not even Amazon, but just gigantic black woman with a gigantic afro. And she was and Hippolyta's like, who are you? Where am I? You can't keep me here. And the girl was like, she was like, you are not a prisoner here. And then she's like, who are you? And then she just went away. I'm like, damn, y'all, she was real short on words. And Hippolyta was like, no. Oh, and as she was in there, she sees that she has two, like, chips in her wrist right here or whatnot. So I'm like, what they do? They probe her? What they do to her? And Hippolyta, like, she just slams her wrist on the door and shit. She beating it or whatnot, and then she like wraps her wounds up or whatever, because the things break because she was hitting the door so hard. And then she do some extra other calculating shit where she figures out how to get the door open, because like gravity, and she's talk about a whole bunch of smart shit where, oh, with these calculations and all this, and she formulates how to get the damn door open. So she gets the door open, and the lady come back like, girl, what the fuck? And she's like, you can't keep me here. I want to get out of here. Let me go. And she's like, I already told you were not a prisoner here. And she's like, who are you? She's like, I am. I'm like, you are, I am. What? And then she was like, who are you? And then she was like, then Hippolyta tried to run up on her. And she was like, woof, bitch, no. Because she had some alien powers. And Hippolyta flew across the room, and she was like, girl, nuck if you buck, but don't run up unless you could really do something. And apparently, I'm like, go ahead, Hippolyta, you really got some balls to try to run up on a gigantic black woman with a very soulful afro. Anyway, so yeah, she tells her again, because she's trying to run up on her, and then she on the floor, and then she was like, who are you? Who are you? And then she was like, where do you want to go? And then she was like, name it. Where do you want to go? Who are you? Where do you want to go? And Hippolyta goes, and she just randomly says, I want to go to Paris and dance with Josephine Baker. I'm like, girl, that's random as fuck. If somebody like, where you want to go? And I'm here with an alien, I'm like, I want to go home. That's what I was saying. But Hippolyta goes and says she want to be in Paris, Josephine Baker. So all of a sudden, swoosh, whoosh, 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 she on stage with Josephine Baker or whatnot, and she one of those, like, you know, dancers back in the day in Paris. And, you know, she's sitting there with the dancers and whatnot. She's fucking up all the dance moves and stuff and everything. And from this point on, for the rest of the episode, it jumps between, okay, first she's in Paris, and I'm thinking, like, do these people really see her, or is this a simulation? So I was just trying to figure it out as it's going on. And she's apparently in this, she's seen by people there, and then she's fucking up the dance move, and then at the end, all the girls was talking about her like, oh, that's why we can't be having Americans here, because American girls be coming here fucking up the dance moves, and we can't be having that and whatnot. And then Josephine Baker cut her a little slack or whatnot. She was like, you can do the moves, girl, and she helped her out a little bit, and she kind of treated her too, because she closed the door in her face. But from there, it just goes on this whole little montage of how Hippolyta got the dance lessons right the next night, and how they was hanging out in Paris, and she got a whole, like, new little wig and stuff, and all this other stuff was going on. And her and Josephine Baker, I guess, ended up being close or whatnot. And then you see it's Paris, because girls kissing and all types of stuff, because, you know, it's way more free overseas when it comes to homosexuality and all that stuff. Not everywhere, but in Paris at that time. So she was sitting there talking to Josephine Baker. I thought that they was going to get booed up or something. I'm like, okay, Hippolyta, go ahead and get with Josephine Baker if you want to. But they were talking, and then she was talking to Josephine Baker, and she was like, where are you right now? She was like, you know what? Whenever I get in this kind of mood, the girls never seem to notice except for you. And then Hippolyta just starts to talk about, like, how being there just lets her realize that I like this part, that when it happened, being there just lets her know how absolutely free she isn't, because over there, you know, you're not treated that way. And the same thing happened, it's similar when Tick was talking about how he's treated when he was in Korea, like, you know, he's treated like an actual human being, a person, and like he's like, you know, they don't get that type of treatment in America, and that's where your home is, and it's a shame that you don't even feel home in a place where you were born and all that. And then what is it? Because she said something that was really deep, and she said when she was talking to Josephine Baker, what did she say? Yeah, she said that back in America, she was the exact type of Negro that the white people wanted her to be. And then she said she said that it was, she said that, like, society or whatever, white people found a way to lynch her they found a way to lynch her without her even knowing that the noose was around her neck. That was really deep, because, you know, she played her role. She did all the stuff. She didn't cause no scenes, you know, and all that. She just took care of her family and everything. And then she was like, it just makes her so mad. And she was like, it just makes her want to kill white people. And then she was like, really? She's like, it also makes her hate herself and want to, you know, fuck herself up for even allowing that or feeling that way or whatnot. And then Josephine Baker was like, okay, well, what you gonna do about it? Like, how, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, what you gonna do about it, girl? And I'm like, wait, so are you stuck in Paris now? I was real confused. And then she was like, well, then she was talking about how she just feels so small. And then out of nowhere, I guess that was the lesson she was going to learn there, because she jumps to some other coordinates. And every time she jumps, coordinates were put at the bottom of the screen or whatnot. And then now all of a sudden she is somewhere where it looks like Africa or something, and then she is like some Hippolyta warrior princess looking thing, and she is in battle with not in battle, but she's in training for battle. And the lady who's doing the training or whatnot, she's telling them about, she's just making a speech about how white people making just how they were making people saying how they're making you clean their house and making you think that you're free when you're not free, and they just want you to raise their children, and you know all that stuff, y'all. And they say that they're not ladylike if they do something that's against black women or whatever are not lady. I guess it was just black women are not ladylike if they do something that's against them, or if they feel rage, or if they do something that isn't womanly or whatnot. But we're choosing to fight or whatnot. Now, I didn't go back and look at what this historical uprising thing was, but I'm sure it has all this has a lot of historical significance. But don't look to me for breaking it all down for you. I was just taking the episode as it was. I sometimes go back and I read it for myself, but I'm not about to explain everything. If I already know it, then I'll tell you. But if I don't, I'll probably look it up later, and I'm not going to come back on to tell you. So anyway, because this is a recap, and I'm just telling you as I see it. I'm just putting that disclaimer out there. So as they're doing that whole little warrior thing, it's like she was constantly like getting knocked down as she was trying to fight this lady in the training, and then as it shows her progressing, and to the point where she could knock down the lady who was training her, and then she finally earned her little battle crown thing, and then she led them all into battle. Hippolyta, I'm like, okay girl. And then they went into fight in battle, and it was fight number white men. I'm like, what the fuck? And they won, which was awesome. And that reminded me of African warriors that actually happened, but I do not remember, and I don't want to misquote or say what I think it is, and it's not. So that's what I said. I know it's probably got some historical significance and actually happened in some type of way. I just don't have the exact facts on it, so I don't speak on, but I don't have the facts on for you right then and there. So anyway, so as they were sitting there killing all the white folks or whatever, I mean, it was still a whole bunch of people coming, but they were fighting for what they believe in. They were fighting for their home and all that stuff. And Hippolyta makes this whole what's the name? She makes a whole big speech or whatever and whatnot, and then she was just saying, I am Hippolyta or whatnot, and then she says, then after she says, I am Hippolyta, she time jumps again, and it looks like from Lost in Space, the old 1950s Lost in Space. It looks like that because it's her, she lands in, it was her and, wait, no, that doesn't happen yet. She jumps to, first she says, I am Hippolyta, George's wife. Then as she jumps, she jumps and she says that she's George's wife. It jumps to that scene where when we first see them, when the season first starts, when she's in bed with George and whatnot, well, it looked like that scene, but then it changes because she's like, oh my goodness, George, and she explains George to everything that's happened and how this is a whole nother universe and how she used certain calculations and whatnot. And he was like, well, is this even real if all this is happening? And she was like, I don't know, but this just feels so real, and they just was having a good time or whatnot. And just, she was like, I just missed you so much. I miss my husband and all this stuff. But then she kind of just, after her travels through, I don't know, whatever, this assimilation, she just was like, you know what? But even before she met him, she just used to always make herself small. She would shrink herself. And then by the time she even met him, she had shrunk herself so much that she never even got a chance to really show who she was. And she was like, she thought that she would be so big or whatnot, but she just constantly shrunk herself and just did what what she thought was expected of her and all that. And then she was like that he attributed to that when they got married. I'm like, okay, girl, you could blame him a little bit, but you said before you got with him, you was shrinking yourself already. And then, I mean, he didn't help with the fact that you made yourself feel small or whatever. And he was like, how come you never told me? She's like, I tried to tell you, and it just, you never, I guess it never, you never got it. And then he was like, first, you know, well, he's like, I'm sorry and everything. So she kind of had a little bit of closure with George, even if it wasn't really George, because I don't know if it was another world or another simulation or whatnot, but I guess she still got that closure that she needed when it comes to that. And then she goes and she's like, I am Hippolyta again. And she says bye to George and whatnot. But then she don't actually leave George, because she takes him with her, because when she says I am Hippolyta, that's when it's the Lost in Space little parody or whatnot that look, their daughter draws of them, of how she's like a space traveler and all that. And they get off this little 1950s looking, you know, parody of how space looks. So they get off, and it was just little cute. She had this little space dress on, and they had their little helmets and these little mini little aliens or whatnot, and they was exploring and doing all this stuff. And then from there, she finally like gets it, I guess, whatever the species was, that big Afro lady and them was actually trying to get her to get about herself. When she was asking her, who are you? And then she's like, I am Hippolyta. And from there, the lady reappears to her or whatnot, and they're like in some solar galactic whatever space. And then she was like, I finally understand or whatever. And then she was like, well, now that you've went through the simulation or whatnot, we can take the things out of your risk and you can fully emerge with our society. And then she was like, oh, if I did that, would I have to stay there forever? She was like, yeah. And then she was like, well, if I choose not to, can I come back home or whatnot? She was like, well, we can send you back home or wherever you want to be as well, but that's up to you. And then they was just talking or whatnot, and then she was just like, well, I'm like, girl, you got a whole daughter at home. She already lost her father. You can't just be like, I'm about to go here with these Afro aliens and leave. So she was like, she even said, she was like, oh, I just feel so free and all this and great, but I can't leave, you know, she can't leave her daughter. So she just asked, I don't know if she asked to go back home or whatnot, but she just goes and tells her, like, I can't leave my daughter or whatever. So from there, it jumps back to them. It jumps back to the planetarium or whatever, that where the Hiram's thing is, and Tick comes through the portal, and then he comes out of the portal with a Lovecraft Country book, and I'm like, what in the parallel universe was he at? Was he in the parallel universe where he saw? Because we don't see Tick at all for the rest of the episode when he gets snatched through the portal. So we only see Hippolyta and what little things she went through. And we didn't see nothing that he went through. I don't know if he went through the alien simulation or not. I don't know if they're going to show it to us or if he's just going to tell us about it on next episode. We'll have to see. But he comes out with the Lovecraft Country book. And I'm like, is he going to look at this book and it's going to tell, or is that the book of names? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm really confused as to what that book is, since it's called Lovecraft Country. Is it going to be just saying everything that's going to happen in this thus far, talking about taking them, it's like written out, you know, something like that. I don't know. And then we still don't see Hippolyta, and I'm like, well, I thought she asked to come home, or did she ask to come home? So we don't see her. But Tick is he looking around, he's like, Hippolyta, Auntie Hippolyta, and she's still nowhere to be found. So he just grabs that book, and he grabs like her little scribbles and calculations, and he gets out of there, because it's a dead fucking policeman, and he black. And even in this day and age, you don't want to be standing by be a black man standing with standing next to a dead a cop or whatnot, and talking about something you don't know what happened, because your ass going to jail. So yeah, I don't know where the hell Hippolyta at yet. Maybe they just dropped her off right at her house. I don't know. So, oh yeah, but at the very, very end, it pans down to the dead cop or whatnot. And you see the little Diane's drawing or whatnot, and with her name on it. I'm like, damn. So they still, y'all thought Tick, you got away, but you didn't really get away. So that's gonna definitely bring some problems and some trouble back home to them, because they gonna look up that little girl name and whatnot, and they gonna come for them. So that was the episode, y'all. Hopefully Charlotte and it's just too many secrets. It's like, Montrose over here keeping secrets and stuff, and we still don't know why he killed that siren lady and destroyed the pages. We still don't know what his deal is with that. I don't know if they like brainwashed Montrose or what, because they had him captive for several weeks. So I'm like, is he really on their side, or is that even Montrose still? I mean, it's just weird. So I'm like, we still haven't gotten any explanation of why he's exactly doing the things that he's doing. So I don't know if that's gonna be further explained to us when that comes to that. Is Letty really pregnant? I'm thinking that she is, especially since she was getting all nauseous and stuff and whatnot, and she had them having them Hannah dreams now. So it seems like she pregnant now, and I'm like, well, dang girl, that sucks. I mean, that's because she young and they not married, and I mean, whatever. She just started living her life. And then Hippolyta, we still don't know where she exactly is. Hopefully the aliens just dropped her off at home. Tick, hopefully that don't come back on him and he get arrested and shit for killing that cop, because he didn't do it, Hippolyta did. But I'm sure he would say that it was him over getting Hippolyta arrested and stuff. Or maybe, hopefully, Christina Braithwaite can help and get that taken care of, but she not really good friends with the cops right now because of the live shit that she had going on. And when it's live people stuff, when that's gonna come into play? So yes, all these questions need to be answered like in the next 2 episodes, because this was episode 8, y'all. And if I'm correct, there's only 10 episodes. I think it's only 10 episodes. So yeah, y'all, that was Lovecraft Country. Starts a little bit late, and sorry feels a little bit all over the place, but that's what I have for you. All right, I will see y'all later. Hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, wash your hands, and doing well. All right, love you. Peace. Bye.